And as promised, here are the standard components versus the options. And that'll be up on the screen for a little bit, so you can pause it and grab a screenshot, take notes, whatever you need to do. Thank you. All right, and we are back with part 2 of the NOUA Laser by Zenzing series, where we, in part 1, unboxed the laser. Now in part 2, we are going to assemble the laser. We are going to start by installing the tower onto the base. And if you look inside here, at this ring, you will see 2 holes. So we want those 2 holes to line up with these 2 holes, and then we'll fasten using the supplied fasteners. Now the fasteners supplied with this tower are this type. Same that come with most towers to lock the tower in place. So with these, you pull up on the handle and then you can kind of ratchet them around. I think the easiest thing to do will be to disassemble this, take this bolt out, screw it down to where it's mostly tight, and then at that point reattach the bolt in the center. So let's go ahead and get started with that step. Just going to use the tools from the toolkit, and we need the, I think, 3mm. Next one up. I grabbed the 2.5 by mistake. So anyway, all we have to do is just unscrew this. Don't lose the spring. Spring should be captured by the screw. Yes, and there it is. So don't lose that spring. And then all we have to do is just pull this out. And we use this to attach the tower to the base. Repeat the same process for fastener number 2. First thing we need to do is connect the power for the Z axis. Connector will snap together, and then just gently push that cable back inside the housing. Then stand your tower up. Find the folds. Then all we have to do is insert the bolts. You might not have had to take those apart because they didn't. Actually, they don't screw in. Yep, they do. Just wasn't fully seated. Yep, they are much deeper. Okay, perfect. So tighten those down. But what we want to be able to do is turn those so we loosen them. So to loosen, we would turn this way. So reattach the little handle and put the bolt and spring back in. We want to attach it in this direction so that we can then loosen it to move it. And then just tighten these little bolts until they are fully seated. So then loosen, tighten. And then if they don't fully loosen or fully tighten, then you can use the ratcheting action to remove or install, or not remove, but loosen or tighten them up. So this one's pointing this way on the opposite side, so we want this one going this way. I was looking over at this computer screen, making sure the record was pushed. Alright, so now we can loosen, rotate, tighten, no rotate. Alright, good and solid there too. We'll just leave it pointed in this direction so it'll be easier to access to install the Galvo head and laser path. Back out here a little bit, you can see what we're working with. Basically what we have is 6 bolts that will attach the carriage for the laser path. Then we'll attach the laser path to the carriage. First thing we'll need to do is remove these screws from the tower. Alright, there is all 6. Now we will install the 6 bolts back into the tower and attach the carriage. So here's the back, you call it the back of the carriage plate. Then this would be the bottom. Those 2 screws were already in there whenever we unboxed it. So those 2 screws are used to stop the laser path from sliding on those rails. So that they're basically lock it in place. And you can see how the plate will line up with the screw holes. And these will just put a little tension on the laser path and keep it from sliding back and forth on these rails. So this is the orientation for installation on the laser path, and here's proper installation. Son of a bitch, I'm gonna take this, throw it out the window. So this is proper orientation for it to be on the laser path, and we have proper orientation to install on the tower. I like to tighten these just like I would your wheel bolts or nuts in a car, and just kind of go lower corner to top, then the bottom to the top, and then the middles, or just some sort of random order so they all line up and apply tension equally. Alright, now we can start to install our laser path. So we will have the three, I believe these are M5, yeah, M5 bolts. Then we will have 3 washers of the split ring lock type, and then 3 regular washers. And to attach these, you will need the 4mm Allen key. Alright, looks like the gap has disappeared. And we should be able to slide our Galvo path forward and backward. Oh, that's smooth. Very nice. Okay, I'm super impressed. That is very, very smooth. Let's see how the lock does. Remember, you're upside down, so you have to turn it the opposite way. Oh yeah, we're locked in place, not moving at all, and that doesn't take very much tension. And now we're back to moving. Alright folks. Here it is. It's looking good. My arm's looking good on both the cameras. Alright. Alright folks. There it is. The fully assembled NOUA Laser Smart 2. Now, what's so special about it? What's so special? We have this small tower. What are we going to do? Well, let's pull out our 50cm tower that we replaced on the other fiber laser that's sitting right beside it. So we went from a 50 to an 800 on that one. Now we have this little guy. And if you're wondering, well, how are you going to do taller items? What can we do about it? This is amazing. It's genius. All we have to do is loosen 2 levers. We can spin this whole Galvo around to the side. Lock it back in place so that we now have all of this additional clearance. So if we put our 50cm back up, we've just about risen to the level of the 50. Now we got to loosen our set screws here for the rails, and we slide that galvo head all the way out, and then we've got some clearance to do some work on the side. Truly amazing. As I was pondering other possibilities, it's just amazing the amount of tall items that might even be too tall for an 800 millimeter tower, that we could actually use this and still laser something that's too big to fit under the 800. I think this is pretty awesome. Alright, so let's move it back. Let's see, center it up, which we can get that indexed and figure out exactly where center is and mark it. And same for the forward and back motion. And now we'll just eyeball it. See if that looks about center. Then we can lock it down. Alright, one thing I do want to point out is that if you are adding this to your fiber laser or Galvo laser lineup, don't worry about your accessories, because this is, well, that's something I was working on earlier. For example, my Glock stipple jig fits perfect. So for your existing accessories, don't worry. We have the same 25 millimeter spacing and 6 millimeter threads. So here we have my Glock jig, and fits perfect. Screws are in. I'm going to take the screws out. Good to go. If you use any of these accessories, such as your business card jig, you can see that still fits. Another example, small bars still line up. And same threads. So even sometimes I use these thumb screws to lock down an axe, still work. So we're not dealing with a baby bed. We have a full-size bed and a full-size standard 6 millimeter holes. Now if we turn our attention to the back real quick, the only thing we have to do is plug in our USB and our power, flip the power switch, and it will be ready to rock and roll. Then in later episodes in this series, we'll get into the pedal and rotary. But there you have it. It's amazing. Two things I forgot to tell you. Number one, there are red dot focus pointers right there that should come configured for whichever lens you have installed on your laser when you receive it. The second thing is there is a knob on top of the tower so you can adjust your Z manually if necessary, similar to what's on top of a non-motorized tower. However, I think the most important question that we have answered today, and it's something that people have been wanting to know forever. I know I have. It's very important, and I think it will make a difference in everyone's lives. Is that we finally have the answer to the question, can I engrave my lawnmower? And that answer is a resounding yes. Like I said, the answer to the question is yes, we can engrave our lawnmowers. With the 300mm lens, and our Galvo head swiveled to the side and extended all the way out on the rails. Ladies and gentlemen, the first portable laser that can engrave your lawnmower. I think this might be it, and I can't wait to try it. So ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for part 3 of our YouTube series on the Smart 2 by NOUA Laser, made by Zenzing. Part 1 was unboxing, part 2 is assembly, part 3 we'll get the software installed and get this baby up and running so we can finally engrave these plain, no decoration having lawnmowers.